Perseus. You know him as a hero, a demigod, the inspiration for Percy Jackson, the mighty son of the great god Poseidon, but I know him as the son of Zeus, born after Zeus gave Perseus' mother a golden shower.
What?
You also know Perseus as the hero that slayed the evil Medusa, but I know him as the man who killed an innocent woman who was raped by his uncle Poseidon and unjustly turned into a monster. Matter of perspective, I guess. But I also know Perseus as the boy left for dead by his deadbeat godfather. No, not godfather. I mean, his actual father, who's a god, Zeus. And I know Perseus as a son who would do anything to protect his mother. And you see, there's a lot more darkness in the story of Perseus than you might have known, than Percy Jackson might convey. So let's tell the true story. Let's tell the story of the inspiration for Percy Jackson. Let's tell the story of Perseus. Perseus' story starts with... Hold up, I know some of you can finish that sentence with me by now, so let's do this together. Perseus' story starts with Zeus cheating on Hera. Honestly, guys, if I were to write a book on Greek mythology, I would just call it So Zeus Cheated on Hera, and this time Zeus cheated on Hera with the beautiful mortal woman Danae. And this instance of cheating, this instance of cheating was a real horny Zeus special. Danae was locked up by her father, King Hercules, who, as a young man struggling to father a son, that king received a prophecy which foretold him that he would never have a son, but that one day his grandson would kill the king. So this king had two choices: not have a daughter, or have a daughter and lock her up. And the king was a man of sound decision making, so he had a daughter and locked her up. And that daughter was the aforementioned beautiful Danae, and he locked her up in a tower so that no one ever gets her pregnant. Now, if you live in Greek mythology and lock a woman up for the sole purpose that no one ever gets her pregnant, bro, you might as well send Zeus a handwritten invitation for a challenge. So Zeus was like,
Challenge accepted.
and to his credit, Zeus got real creative about this one. He just busts one out from the heavens, which trickled down onto earth as golden rain into the tower and onto Danae through the one crack in her window, and somehow found its way into the other crack in the tower, her crack. I mean, goddamn, I don't know how to say this without getting YouTube to demonetize these videos. I don't know how to say the word, but you know, you know which crack I'm talking about. You know how golden showers and pregnancy works, right? Danae was pregnant, and when her father, the king, found out that she was pregnant, he once again found himself with a choice to make: have his daughter abort the baby to stop the prophecy, or he could wait until his daughter delivers the baby and then put the daughter and the infant in a box alive, close the box and throw it into the ocean. Luckily, the king's sound decision making once again won the day. So the king put his daughter and the baby in a box and sent them on a one-way trip to the bottom of the ocean.
Under the sea.
Luckily, the seas are the territory of Zeus's brother, Poseidon. Now, Poseidon is known to drown a person or a million, and he's also known to not exactly be a friend of the well-being of women. But Aquaman was also not a fan of mortals killing godly offspring, so he rescued his brother's son and his mother by safely guiding the box to safety onto the shores of Seriphos, the island, where he made sure that the fisherman Dictys would find the box. And when the kind fisherman opened the box, like...
Jesus Christ.
He must have been pleasantly surprised by what he saw, because he decided to take care of the woman and her son and raise the baby as if it were his own, and that baby would grow up to be quite the remarkable man. A man we now know as...
What's your name?
Perseus.
That is the beginning of Perseus' story. And it only gets better from here on out. Perseus' mom, Danae, was hella fine. And that was a problem, because you see, her and that savior fisherman that saved him, Dictys, and her son, Perseus, they lived on an island ruled by the king Polydectes. And the king Polydectes was actually the brother of the fisherman. And that king, he took a liking to the woman his brother found on the shores. He took a liking to Danae. So Polydectes made a move on Danae like...
What's up, baby girl?
So Danae was like, ew, no, bro, I'd rather get pregnant from a golden shower slash golden nut again. Nah, man. Danae rejected him. Of course, as Trump taught us, you don't become the leader of a nation by accepting a no. So the king kept on pushing Perseus' mom hard. But Perseus had grown into a young man by then. A young man with the strength of a god, not just any god, with the strength of Zeus. So Perseus wasn't exactly a pushover, and the king was kind of scared of him, rightfully so. As long as Perseus was around, his mom was untouchable. So Perseus then had the genius idea to save his mom from the horny king by going away. Yeah, I know, it doesn't make any sense. Perseus struck a deal with the king that if he goes away to slay the infamous monster Medusa, then the king would have to leave his mom alone. And somehow Perseus assumed that a sleazy, horny king would somehow leave the mother alone while he was gone, when his presence was the only part that kept her safe. Greek mythology, sometimes this really doesn't make sense. But okay, let's assume the king is an honorable man who will only force Perseus' mother to be with him after he honors a promise that was made about her life without her consent or involvement. Let's just roll with it. The king agreed to the deal, because why not? This monster, Medusa, was a real problem, so if Perseus slays it, great! One less monster to worry about. And if he doesn't, which was way more likely to be honest, great! Because then Perseus is dead, and the king can honorably force himself on his mother.
Great success.
A win-win for the king, so he happily sent Perseus away to slay. Of course, Medusa was a beast of legend. Everybody in Greece had heard her story. So allow me to present Medusa's story to you like it was authentically presented to the ancient Greeks back in the day. No, wait. No. I can't use the Star Wars music because I actually got a copyright strike on YouTube. Let me use a song that's like very similar to the Star Wars theme song.
I like big butt.
I can't use that either. Let me just narrate. It was a period of peace. A beautiful woman named Medusa was born into a simple purpose. She devoted her life to the virgin goddess Athena and spent all her days worshipping the divine daughter of Zeus in her temple. The problem was that Medusa was incredibly hot. So hot that the temple Medusa was living in and worshipping Athena from all day, that temple kind of turned into a holy pilgrimage for all simps of Greece. Like seriously, dudes gathered up outside the temple just to catch a peek of the beautiful Medusa, and their thirst energy kind of disrupted the virgin energy of the temple, which pissed Athena off majorly. But Medusa kept her chastity vow, kept worshipping Athena, so the goddess condoned Medusa's beauty. And then, one day, Poseidon, the god, I guess he was kind of bored of his wife and children, and browsed the earth for some women whose life he could ruin. And I like to think that the gods kind of just they browse the earth like we browse through the internet. And I also like to think that their search engine is for some reason called Hermes.com. So Poseidon would just type his search into Hermes, like innocent, beautiful woman whose life I can ruin. And so he stumbled upon Medusa. And when Poseidon actually saw her, the devilish thirst god Poseidon smiled, because he had long been beefing with his niece Athena, and to defy a priestess of his niece, it was too evil of an opportunity to pass up. So Poseidon went down to earth, intruded Athena's temple, found Medusa, and he raped her. And after he was done, it was not Poseidon who was punished, it was Medusa. Athena punished Medusa for breaking her chastity vow in Athena's holy temple. She blamed it all on Medusa's seductive beauty, which catches everybody's eye. So Athena's punishment was to now turn Medusa into a hideous monster with snakes for hair, a hideous creature that catches everybody's eye, except now all that will look at her will turn into stone. That was Medusa's fate. It sounds like a super villain origin story, and you'd think Medusa would go around abusing her power, turning everybody into stone, and coming after Athena and the gods on some real Kratos thing, but nah, man. Medusa just wanted to be left alone. She didn't want to cause any more trouble, so she retreated to a remote island, all alone, all so that no one can see her, and thus no one is turned into stone and no one is harmed. And on that island, Medusa still worshipped Athena and begged the goddess for forgiveness.
He was special.
But peace did not follow Medusa. Instead, all of Greek's warriors, trying to prove something, came to kill her, kill the monster, kill Medusa, and claim her snake-haired head for fame and glory. And one of those warriors was Perseus. Except he didn't do it for fame and glory. He was doing it to save his mother. Perseus knew he was no match for Medusa without leveling up first. Many warriors had tried to slay the snake beast, and all their attempts amounted to were a bunch of petrified stone statues on Medusa's island. It was also not just Medusa on that island. You see, the monster Athena transformed her into, a woman-ish beast with a snake-like body and or snake-like hair, whose gaze turns men into stone. That was a common creature, not too common, but it was a creature called Gorgons. And Medusa's island was actually called Sarpedon and already housed two other Gorgons, Steno and Eruiale. Depending on which version of this tale you read, these Gorgons are all sisters of Medusa, and Medusa has different origins in each tale, but in our tale, Medusa simply found refuge and shelter with her fellow Gorgons that became as sisters to her over time. That meant that Perseus had 3 threats to navigate, and each would end him with a single look. So Perseus had to do the equivalent of leveling up in a video game.
20,000 for the holy hand grenade? Whoa! Zemeckis cube. X1 haptic boot suit.
And for that he employed the help of his half-brother, Hermes. Hermes was the messenger god, and he knew his way around the Greek realm and all its gossip, so he could really tell Perseus how exactly to get to Medusa. And he told him, bro, you have to get Athena's golden shield, because without that,
Forget about it.
then you have to go get Hades' helmet of invisibility, because it will make you invisible. You have to get all of that from the Northern Nymphs and the Grey, it's a tough word, but it's just the Grey Sisters. They are the only ones who know where the Northern Nymphs are, so first you have to visit the Northern Nymphs, but kind of in order to get there, you need my winged sandals. So here you go, that's your gift to start this quest. Not even joking, that's literally video game structure. So first, the Grey Sisters. And if this were a video game, they would be three old, weak-looking ladies that once the main character approaches them, they turn into a massive three-headed dragons when provoked. But nah, man, when Perseus approached them, they were really just insanely old ladies. So old, they had no teeth. So old, they only had one eye that they passed around and shared. So old that they were the epitome, the pinnacle of being weak and defenseless. So old that Perseus knew that causing them any harm or distress is not exactly heroic. So he kind of figured, what the hell, I'm already planning to kill an innocent victim of sexual assault. The true hero ship has long sailed. Whatever. And he stole their one eye so that the three old women were blind and begged him to return it. And so Perseus then forced the location of the northern nymphs out of them.
Because that's what heroes do.
Next, Perseus visited the northern nymphs. Obviously, that was his next stop. And they were beautiful, pure women. And Perseus needed them to give him the legendary equipment that Hermes had promised. So when they refused, tore off skin, fingernails. He tortured them. I'm kidding. The northern nymphs actually just gave him the equipment. No non-heroics, no villain stuff going on here. The northern nymphs were expecting Perseus and presented him with Athena's shield and Hades' helmet of invisibility, as well as a magical bag to hold Medusa's head. Then Zeus also gave Hermes a sword to bring to his son, a sword of adamantine, which cuts through anything like butter, because killing an innocent woman like Medusa was a cause Zeus could finally really get behind. And so, off to Gorgon Island, Perseus went to do the deed. He used Hades' invisibility helmet to sneak around the island and past the Gorgon sisters so they don't turn them into stone, and into the lair of the Emboss. And it's really a video game, I'm just saying. And as he was about to confront the Emboss Medusa, Perseus accidentally kicked a rock. And perception level 100, Medusa immediately knew that a random but naturally occurring sound must mean that an invisible intruder is now here to kill her. And conveniently, Medusa was running around with a bow and arrow, just ready to shoot for no reason, and turned around on the spot, instantly ready to fire a perfect arrow at Perseus that knocked his invisibility helmet off his head. So now Perseus was visible, but he was able to duck behind Athena's shield just in time to avoid getting pierced by more arrows from Medusa. And then Perseus ran into cover behind a pillar in the darkness out of Medusa's sight. And while Medusa was looking for him, Perseus watched her, tracked her movements in the reflection of Athena's golden shield. And when Medusa had her back turned on him, Perseus jumped out from behind the pillar and stabbed Medusa in the back. Jaime Lannister approves. Then, to continue in true hero fashion, Perseus cut her head off as a trophy, as proof for the king. It actually makes sense. Hero, no hero, that actually makes sense. And to Perseus' surprise, out of the blood of Medusa's decapitated head, two creatures were instantly born from the unwanted union between Medusa and Poseidon. Those children were Kriasor, a giant with a golden sword, and the winged horse Pegasus. And because decapitating Medusa from the back wasn't disrespectful enough, Perseus now made Medusa's son his son and rode Perseus off into the sunset to save his mother. Before Perseus could save his mother, he had to save a damsel in distress, aka a woman who was tied up by her parents because her mother was bragging that her daughter was more beautiful than Poseidon's wife. And because Poseidon hasn't been enough of a scumbag in this story, he punished that woman, that mother, by flooding her entire kingdom unless the parents sacrificed their pretty daughter, who the mother said was prettier than Poseidon's wife, and thus they sacrificed her to a sea monster. Just Poseidon things. That woman waiting to be sacrificed was Andromeda, shackled to a rock, waiting for the sea monster Zeus to devour her. And it was exactly then that Perseus happened to fly by on Pegasus and Perseus felt like, maybe I should save this one, because, you know, I'm a hero despite stabbing Medusa in the back. And he easily killed the monster, and then figured now is a good time to flirt with a woman that was almost killed after being tied to a rock, shackled to a rock. So he rizzed her up on the spot, because even when you have to save mom by 5, there's still time to spit some riz at 3. So Perseus took Andromeda with him.
Follow the pimp manual, step by goddamn step.
Then, on his continued journey home, Perseus ran into another distraction. The Titan Atlas, who was holding up the skies as punishment for his crimes. Wait, actually, if you don't know the story of why Atlas is forever punished to hold up the skies, allow me to explain. Copyright. Copyright. Sorry, guys. Different song.
All you ladies pop your
Let me narrate. It was a period of unrest. Led by Zeus, the gods were fighting the Titans over supremacy of the realm, but General Atlas of the Titans was a real pain in the ass for Zeus, so when Zeus, aka King Sparkles, defeated the Titans, he imprisoned all of them in hell, in Tartarus. But for how annoying and how strong Atlas was, Zeus had a special punishment for him. His fate was to forever lift up the sky. Ever since, for a time so long we have no way to even calculate it, Atlas had been lifting up the sky, suffering under its weight of fate, worse than death. But as an immortal, death would never be an option to relieve Atlas of his suffering until Perseus came flying by on a winged horse whose mother he just killed with a girl he just picked up. Then Perseus was like, "Bro, are you okay? That leg looks super heavy." And Atlas said, "Bro, you have like no idea at all." And Perseus was like, "Hey, I just killed this horse's mom, like the horse I'm riding on." It's her son. And her head turns anything I point it at into like stone. Do you want me to like point the head at you and turn you into stone? And I was like, "Bro, you would like do that for me? Like really?" "Yeah, bro, like totally. Are you kidding? I'm kind of like a hero." So he took Medusa's head, pointed it at Atlas, and Atlas was now turned into stone, still forever lifting the sky, but without feeling its burden. Nowadays known as the Atlas Mountains. Google that. It actually exists. Then Perseus could finally fly home to where, surprise, King Polydectes did not keep his promise and actually tried to assault Perseus' mother while Perseus was gone, so his mother Danae had to hide in Athena's temple. And once Perseus was back and found out that the King Polydectes had laid a hand on his mother, oh Lord, he walked up into the king's palace, and he didn't care about no promises anymore. Yeah, I told you I'll bring him Medusa. He didn't care. He wasn't scared anymore, man. This wasn't young Perseus anymore, you get me, man. Perseus had just killed Medusa, petrified the Titan Atlas, killed a sea monster. Perseus had become death. He wasn't scared of no king. He didn't care about no promises, didn't care about no king's guard. So as he walked up to the king and was like, "Man, you hurt my mother? Listen to me, son.
You don't know what death is. You have no idea what death is."
And then he killed the king and his entire king's guard. Well, he didn't kill them. He used his new cheat code weapon. He pulled out Medusa's head, spun around like a pretty ballerina, and petrified everybody in the room. And then Perseus, on some real boss thing, made his stepfather Dictys the new king of the kingdom, and then left with his new wife that he just picked up. And I'm just saying, Perseus is a demigod. That king he just petrified, that's a normal king. Like, he could have killed the king all along, even without Medusa's head, and would have never had to go on the journey. But, man, I agree. This all made for a much better story. Oh, okay. At this point, word of Perseus had spread all around Greece. He had become the famous hero who slayed Medusa. And remember the king from the beginning who put his daughter and her infant son in a box to drown them?
Under the sea.
Perseus' granddad? Yeah, word of Perseus even reached King Acristius. And he was mad scared. Like, the prophecy kind of seemed to fulfill himself. Surely Perseus would come back to seek revenge and kill him, so the king fled his own kingdom to live an anonymous life in the distant city of Larissa. And years later, the city Larissa held a sports festival and invited the famous hero Perseus as their guest of honor to show off his strength. Perseus participated in the disc throwing contest and absolutely yeeted the disc into the stands, where it hit an old man in the head who died on the spot because, don't forget, Perseus is a hero.
Yes, I am.
But as fate would have it, that old man, dead in the stands with a discus lodged in his head, was King Hercules. The prophecy had come true, because you cannot escape fate. So Perseus looked at his evil grandfather and said,
"That is destiny fulfilled."
Then Perseus and his wife Andromeda founded their own city, started their own family in their city of Mycenae, and years later, Perseus' great-grandson would become known around the world as a great hero, and that great-grandson of Perseus is Hercules, aka Herakles, who's not just Perseus' great-grandson, but also Perseus' half-brother, because, Zeus, incest, it gets messy. But the story of Herakles, that will be covered in another episode of Keeping Up with the Greek Gods, the Age of Heroes.